This is the Wandering Mike.
Welcome, everyone, to the Wandering Mike. Today I'm here with Alfie. Hey, Alfie, how's it going?
Oh, you're right, Mike.
Not too bad. It's a good day today. Yeah, actually sunny for a change.
Yeah, no, I've managed to come to Australia and it just be winter.
You came from Thailand as well, so... Oh, but it is going into rainy season there as well now.
Yeah,
Is that
to be fair, rainy season there was nice. It genuinely was.
Well-
Like, the rain was just pleasant. You get a shower for like 5 minutes where it was warm rain. It wasn't actually too bad, and then it was all golden.
Yeah, it's definitely different than in Europe. Like, if you get rained on in Britain, it's gonna be cold and stormy and...
Yeah,
Because I know from Indonesia, like, I experienced the same. We quite enjoyed monsoon season because we're like, it's 40 degrees outside. Yeah, let's go outside.
yeah, exactly.
Get a shower.
Don't need to get up and go in the shower in the morning.
Locals did look at us a bit strange, but
Yeah.
well,
It's pay what it is. Is it rainy in Germany?
yes,
Yeah.
I would say when I was growing up, it was like the seasons were rainy, sun for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
rainy, and then snow for a couple of months.
No.
So when I was growing up, we actually still had snow. We don't anymore. Not
Okay.
really. Like, the last time it actually snowed like more than 10 centimeters, I think. I don't even know if it was after 2000. To be honest,
Yeah.
it must have been after 2000 because I was in school still. But it's sure.
What did you do when
15.
it snowed in Germany?
Oh, we went outside. We did snow angels
No angels,
Like-
cool. Yeah.
like that, and we built snowmen. We built,
Snowmen were
built
great.
snowmen.
Yeah.
We actually went to go. It's a word I don't know in English.
What?
Oh, sled.
Sled. Yeah, sled.
My dad built a little sled.
Me too.
And
Yeah.
yeah, we always went to like some hill.
Yeah.
And just
Go down the hill. What did you make the sled out of?
Wood.
Wood.
Which is it was like.
Wood, some plastic, sort of.
To be fair, no, I don't even know if he made it. It looked very. Maybe a friend of his made it.
Okay.
No, maybe he didn't make it himself. It looked like a good sled.
Yeah, no. That's fair.
Like,
We made I did a lot of DIY with Dad when I was growing up. So we did we made a boat in the back garden, and then we made the sled when it snowed. We were always, he was working on the house. I was standing next to him, annoying him most of the time, handing in the wrong tools and so forth.
what?
But yeah,
Yeah, I know that. I know that too. So you build a boat?
well, it wasn't a working boat. It was just a boat in the garden, if that makes sense.
Right.
So we just built a boat frame.
Yeah. So it's still similar. Like, similar things go into like getting it together and building.
Yeah.
It just doesn't need to be functioning. But
Yes, exactly.
It's still
Yeah.
basically you're building a boat.
Yeah. Well, I suppose we have been trying to maintain like Frankenstein sort of catamaran for a little bit,
Right.
because we bought a secondhand catamaran. Well, he bought a secondhand catamaran, and then we crashed it. Well, didn't crash it. We got a hole in the hull, or one of the holes, so we had to be pulled in to shore, and we've been trying to sort of fix that up and change different bits of it. But once we fix one bit, another bit breaks.
Yeah, boats. It's always something I wanted or still want to have in my life, I feel like.
Yes.
I'm a romantic. Like, I like to romanticize all sorts of things. So for me, living on the boat is just very romantic. It's very free. It's very, maybe the last resort these days we have to actually be connected to nature, not being surrounded by all this cool artificial stuff that we build up, but yeah, just taking yourself away from that. So yeah, obviously, when I think about boats, I always think about the romantic side of having a boat. But in reality, having a boat is actually quite a hassle. Like, it's expensive. You need to maintain it. Um,
Mhm.
are, are there challenges to like
Yeah,
maintaining and having a boat?
there are. Well, I wouldn't even say it's challenges. Like it's just part of it, isn't it? It's like you've got a car, you restore the car, or you
Right,
you take the car to the mechanic. It's the
right.
same sort of thing. It's just like you've got your leisure activity, and then you need to maintain what you need to do the leisure activity. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
I do think it's quite important people have projects as well. I think people need them. We're sort of, I know for me, especially, if I don't have something that I can focus on
yeah,
and just do to sort of pass time, but also be somewhat productive, it's it's important because when you don't have that, you're just a bit bored all the time and scrolling on the phone, just not really like it.
and um, I'm just gonna put in a sneaky question there because I realize that we're already talking and the people don't even know exactly who you are. So, basically, if you do just want to tell us again where you're actually from, just so for the rest of the conversation we we have that fact. But then I also want to ask from what you've told me. So, when you did grow up, wherever you grew up, we're not finding out yet. No, but when you were growing up, um, these projects, were they mostly things that you did do with your hand because of your dad? Was that most of the projects that you led or like
Yeah. All
that you
right.
escaped to?
Well, I'm Alfie. I'm from Brighton, England, and
There we go.
yeah, I'm 22, and I arrived in Australia four weeks ago. Yeah,
Sounds
no,
about right.
yeah, something like that. And no, and your question was,
If the projects that you feel necessary for people to or for yourself to have, if those were hands-on projects mostly when you
a lot of them were. Dad was always handy, so he was always good at making things, and
right.
he's always had projects. So sort of, I guess I copied that growing up,
Right.
definitely. But no, it's good. I think it taught me practical skills.
Which is really important. I mean, I can see it here as well. Like most of the people, what do? We work in hospitality, we work in tourism, because everyone can work with people. Obviously, people are good at it or they're not good at it, but everyone
Yeah,
can sort of do these jobs. But these skilled labors, like you find a job immediately, like here,
yeah,
like construction, like carpentry, like all these kind of
yeah.
things, you need them all over the world. And that's what I realized as well, especially for the lifestyle that like I have and like the traveling lifestyle,
Hmm.
having a skill is actually one of the best things you can do
It's really,
because you can offer it in every country.
yeah,
Everyone needs a table. Everyone
yeah.
needs a.
Everyone needs to have a house thrown up or something. Just
Exactly.
yeah, no, it's important. What other transferable skills do you think there are?
Um, that's a great question. I feel like everything that where you can genuinely teach something. What I love as well is it's not really a skill, but what I love is if people actually appreciate the backpackers in a sense that they let them, like teach.
Mm.
I've seen where you can teach culture to children in schools. You basically you talk to them in German because they're learning German, but then you also tell them like what is your culture like, more
Yeah,
than just a language. And um I feel like I took the question in the direction you didn't intended to go, but that's what I think is a really important thing as well is to just give on our culture. And I love because I think it was in one of the podcasts 2 or 3 weeks ago that someone told me was Diogo that told me that in Japan they actually have this program and it's really big and they recruit people from everywhere, from South America, from Europe, and they recruit them to then stay for half a year or 3 months, however long you
why do
want to
they
stay.
recruit them?
and they recruit them to then go into a school
Yeah.
and teach for 3 or 6 months the language and the culture. So they basically, yeah, you can apply and then you can travel to Japan on that working visa. And you're
That's
still
amazing.
doing the cultural exchange.
That is amazing. Have you thought about doing it, or are you going to do it?
I looked into it after you told me about it
Yeah.
because I immediately I heard about it. I was like, this sounds so cool.
Yeah.
So I looked into it,
What do you need for it?
and well, basically, they do have a lot of applicants. So it's always like it's going to be some kind of a drawing thing. But basically, they just want you to be ready to share your culture.
Yeah.
So,
Just sort of, this is my beans on toast.
yeah,
sort
you
of
don't
thing,
even need to, because that's what I asked them as well. You don't need to be because that specific thing, it's in Japan.
Yeah.
You don't need to know Japanese. That's not a prerequisite. Because I was like, oh, you're going to live in Japan, so do you need to? Apparently, that's not a prerequisite. You just need to be, because they're learning your language, so
Yeah.
they want you to basically, yeah, just in your language, tell them a little bit about your culture, and it sounds amazing. Like,
Yeah.
like
And then you get to see Japan as well.
exactly. So.
I've heard.
So, because Kaylee told me something similar when she was doing in Vietnam, and she was also going into the schools and teaching them a little bit of English. So, I feel like that's maybe something,
Do you just
because we did talk about transferable skills, that you can maybe seek out. Maybe countries do offer that.
just sort of go speak English to people and
And be like, yeah,
help them learn almost? There was I actually, when I was in Thailand, I was going to look to make money out there.
yeah.
And one of the remote jobs that I applied to was English tutor, or it was Cambly or something. It was basically a online website where
Right.
people pay to just speak English to a native speaker,
Oh, yeah.
which I thought was a really cool idea. And it's the same principle, but I guess you get to go to Japan with your version.
Yeah, like, I mean, we're not making ads here anyway. I'm not earning anything.
Yeah.
I know an app that sounds like what you're talking about. Is it Preply?
Preply.
Preply? Or is that what's called a Preply? Or
It could be.
I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's something that I had because I was looking into that for a bit when I was learning, or till I'm learning Spanish.
Yeah.
Because I just needed someone to talk about it. And I said, oh, like €6 for hour. Like, it looked like a nice thing. Like,
Sweet. No.
good app.
How far into learning Spanish are you?
The beginning.
The beginning.
Well, yeah. The thing is, with me speaking Portuguese a little bit, it's easier because it's very similar, especially grammatically, to Portuguese. So it's mostly just learning new words, but also a little bit the pronunciation because it is a bit different.
What else goes into learning a language? Like, you need to get the grammar right. You need to get what else?
So I think the most important thing is the vocabulary, because I feel like, and I also know because on another episode we did, one of the earliest episodes with Dave, we actually talked about languages as well because he was from Australia actually, and he spent his 3 years before he came back to New Zealand in France. So he taught himself French as an Australian that never had it in school. So we talked about it for a little bit, and basically what he said is you just need to use the Pareto principle, like the 80-20 principle. And if you use it for language, what that basically means is there's 20% of words that we use 80% of the time.
Yeah.
Like, for some reason, I didn't use the word guillotine today. So there's like 20%. Yeah, I'm thinking about it the whole time.
When can I fit it in? Got it 4 times now.
So yeah, I feel like that was a good thing to actually just be conscious about, because there's so many words in the dictionary, but what are the words we actually use day to day, and then focus on those and just think about them in your language, and then just try to translate. you know?
Yeah, I see.
That'll go a long way already.
Just sort of what are the normal conversations that you have day to day
Yeah.
and what are you using them. Okay.
You know, like if you get words down like have, I am, like to be, to have, to yeah, if you concentrate on those words, I feel like even if you don't have the grammar yet, because that was kind of Dave's point. Like if you start with the vocab, um, then you for a lot of situations you already know the words because what is like the number one struggle when learning a new language and trying to speak it constantly um, is that you don't know the words.
Yeah.
Because if you're like, "Hey, how are you? I'm Mike. How old are you?" And I'm like, "Happy, happy." But then you go, "What color is your car?" And then I'm, "Oh,"
Yeah.
you know. So if you learn, just think about it beforehand. What are the words that I'm going to use?
Yeah.
Think of those 20%, learn them, and then it encourages you to also try more with the grammar because then you have the words and then you just say sentences and then someone can correct you and then you've so I actually found that a quite that's kind of what I'm doing with Spanish as well after you told me that. So I am currently just hoarding words and then trying to like with Matthias as well, like sometimes just speak
Just
with
speak
like when I
Spanish.
get the
Yeah.
Spanish speaking people, just speak and just pronounce some words and then they can correct you. And
Is there anyone else here that speaks Spanish?
I know that Catalina does a little bit. I don't know because she lived in
Yeah, she lived
Spain,
in Barcelona, wasn't it?
Barcelona
Yeah.
for a bit. Don't know to which extent,
No,
but I think natively it's just Matthias at the moment.
natively, yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. Have you had many Spanish people come in and out of the hostel?
Not re-
Okay.
we had one Spanish guy. We had Jesus,
Zeus.
who I don't. Yeah, he's working at the mines as well.
Right.
No, he's such a nice guy.
I do think out of all the languages, Spanish is up there with one of the ones I'd want to learn. I think if you have you've got a lot of the globe covered if you speak Spanish and English.
Yeah,
So it's just quite a useful skill. And also, I think Spain's a beautiful country and it's somewhere I'd like to spend longer than just a couple of weeks, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah, no. How do you prefer traveling? Do you prefer going sort of a couple of weeks somewhere and then moving on? Or do you prefer, I want to spend a long time in one place? Get going.
So that's actually a really good question. Because I've actually lately been struggling to completely define what it is that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because basically, um, I mean, they've heard the story millions of times,
Okay.
but just for the context, is like 1.5 weeks, 1.5 years ago now, I just decided to travel.
Yeah.
That's when I quit my job in Portugal and then I just travel to New Zealand, now travel to Australia, know that I'm going to be going to South America as the next point as well.
Yeah.
Probably getting some Southeast Asia in there as well. So
Well,
basically what I'm trying to figure out is, I mean, this is my life now.
yeah.
So am I traveling? Do you know
Yeah.
like
Are you traveling
what
or are you just
like what I did the last year, what parts of it could actually be defined as traveling? Because
Yeah.
like you work and then you have a week off and you go see something. That's the
Yeah.
traveling part. But is the working part also is it part of the travel? Is it not? That's where I'm kind of
I think it is.
thinking myself, is it?
I think it is because you're probably doing jobs you wouldn't normally do back home.
That's fair.
You're sort of in different communities quite often.
Yeah.
You're experiencing new things like all the time. Like
Yeah.
back in Germany, I'm sure your days looked relatively similar. But
Yeah, of course.
same for me back in England. Days you get up, you go to work, to see the same people. It's just very much. Whereas here, you have a sense of that. Like you build your routine, obviously, but it's a lot more different. You have more freedom to just go, you know what, fuck Fremantle. I'm just gonna get up and go to, I don't know, Sydney or fly to Bali next week. It's just, yeah. I like the freedom of that. I think it's really good.
Yeah.
And I think the working is definitely part of it. I'm quite against doing the jobs I did back home over here. It's not something I'd like to do because I think it ruins part of
the experience.
the experience. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That's actually a great point to as a distinguishing factor, like you said. You're doing things that you probably wouldn't be doing at home. Um, and that's when I'm again thinking like, well, maybe in my specific case, it also doesn't apply that much because I love working in hostels.
Yeah.
So I might now just, but that's just me, like a very personal thing for myself.
What is it about hostels?
I mean, I always love to work with people. Like
Yeah.
even in Portugal, like the job I had as a trainer, basically showing people how to use the software, how to um, do customer support, how
Yeah.
to like talk to people. Um, I love that job
Yeah.
because it's communication and it's also you can tangibly see what you're doing. After 4 weeks, you ask someone something and they know exactly how to. It's nuts.
Yeah.
If you
Do you
do,
enjoy the like process of teaching someone something?
yes.
Yeah.
And I use it for myself as well because it's so nice to see, oh, I learned another way that I can effectively communicate something to a person. And you see it works and it's
That's a way.
nice.
Would you say that's like up there with Mike's things he likes to learn? So you like communicating, you like learning how to deliver something in, be it Spanish or be it English or be it just a chat like we're having now.
Yeah.
Or do you prefer or not prefer? What else do you sort of put up there with that? What are your other interests, basically?
Right. So I mean, obviously one of the interests is travel.
Yeah.
And that's why I think the hostel just combines these two things perfectly, the communication and the travel. Um, I would say if you'd ask me like what defines Mike, those would be the things like communication, travel. I'm very interested in like yeah, no, it's getting too broad.
It's getting too broad.
No,
Just
Mike is really bad at answering questions shortly and to the point. Um,
It's all right. It could be a long form podcast. It's fine.
no, but now that I'm thinking about it, things that do interest me, is basically just everything where I can learn how this world works. Like, and people from listening to the podcast know that I'm into philosophy. So I love philosophy and I do love philosophical talks.
Yeah.
You do look like you might have some things for that specific break.
I was just going to ask what philosophy, like what philosophers who really stands out to you.
So I do feel like mainly I feel very at home and comfortable with the Stoic philosophy. So I like Stoicism very much. I like to sometimes actually just pull up random philosophic stuff. I don't now with ChatGPT maybe it can even do it better.
Yeah.
But what I used to do was I just Googled random philosophy story or something in Google and then just whatever came up and because I just like the whole process of thinking about things, whatever that is. Like I said, stoicism to me is it's understandable and I kind of live by it. So I do kind of identify with that philosophy more than with others. But in general, I just like to see what is it that other people have already thought about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if
So
you see
that he who stands on the shoulders of giants.
yeah. You're like, oh yeah, that is an interesting thought for you to have had like 6,000 years ago. It's crazy too. I'm just really intrigued by it.
What would you say? What would your recommendations be for someone that just wants to like get in and at the beginning just try and learn a bit about philosophy, a bit about how to think, sort of in a systematic process to break down questions?
Yeah. So I'm gonna think about this while I'm answering as well. But I think the easiest thing to answer that question is just to tell you my experience.
Yeah.
Because how I did it is I watched some YouTube videos. and about philosophy. And then I wanted to buy a book because I
Yeah.
love reading. So I wanted to buy a book. So the first book I ever bought about philosophy was actually like a collection of the most like important philosophical um
Like,
stories or theorems or whatever
yeah.
you call it. So the book's called, I don't know if I get it 100% right, but the 50 most, I'll just say important. It probably didn't say important,
Yeah.
but most important philosophical theories. So if there's something with 50, so basically that's where I would probably say everyone should
Should
start
start
because you
just
get like a collection. So you get like a broad, you get like the ship of Theseus was on
yeah.
there. If you're familiar with that, like Plato's cave thing was on
I
there.
know who Plato is. I'm afraid I don't know his theory.
Right.
Yeah.
Might be a good book for you.
Yeah. No.
So it goes like to all these things, but then it also goes into more modern things where it goes more about feelings and dreams.
Mhm.
Because like you can see in philosophy as well, like how I mean, you can see it everywhere in humanity, but in philosophy also, because it's also
Yeah.
part of what we did. But like the development of how we thought. At first, it was just like, okay, what do I perceive? Like Plato, the ship of Theseus is all basically of how we perceive things. Like,
Mhm.
is it the same? Is it real? Is it like, how do we perceive them? And then
Yeah.
the more and more we figured out how to perceive the world, we've tamed the storms, we've tamed the fire, we've invented electricity. And the more and more we are sure of how to perceive things, then the mind went, okay, so how do we feel about them? So that's
Yeah.
when like modern philosophy goes more into the
Into feelings and what
feelings
causes them.
and all that rather than the actual perception of things. So I found that interesting as well. And the point with the book is if you have these 50 stories, one of them will probably, or a couple of them hopefully, will speak to you more than others.
Yeah.
And then you can see, okay, so this
Which
spoke to
avenues you
me,
want to explore.
and then
Yeah.
you go more down
And you sort
to
of,
into that lane.
yeah.
That's what I did at least as well. So I the like I said, the book, there's probably more books that do this, but this specific book was really good and also then like telling us all the like primary literature.
Yeah.
And so I could just go, okay, I'll get
Yeah.
this now and read more about it.
It gives you just the Amazon shopping list, basically. Yeah.
And one more thing, one book that really spoke to me, because I did mention Stoicism,
Mm.
it really is Ryan Holiday. I know it's like it's a very everyone's saying it might be overrated, but Ryan Holiday actually does a great job of in his book summarizing the idea of Stoicism
Yeah.
so that people can really get a feel for it on a day-to-day basis.
What
So
are the main ideas
of
of Stoicism? Is it because my perception of Stoicism is that it's sort of you need to still be able to feel, but not what is it? Still feel, but in a logical way almost, or in a like pretty sound way. Understand why certain things work. Or am I miles out?
know, you're not miles out. You're very close, actually. I would just go from a different way of explaining it. Basically, the main idea that you might have heard or even seen on some posters or something. The main idea of Stoicism is memento mori, which basically means I remember that I will die. So um, I remember that I will die, and that's basically that shows you kind of how Stoicism feels in a way that only thing we know is that we will die. So the idea is basically that nothing is good or bad.
Yeah.
So that's where obviously you are a human being, so
Yeah.
you're still gonna have your personal feelings. So obviously you're gonna feel. But yeah, Stoicism is just a lot of times Stoicism goes towards meditation as well. So people that do meditate usually also find themselves in the philosophy of Stoicism
Okay.
because it helps with just observing your thoughts and just acknowledging them as existence, but also um, making sure that you know that you are not your thoughts,
Yeah.
but they are just going through you. So that's basically what Stoicism is doing to the whole experience of life
I'd
is
say.
everything just is. If someone comes and punches me in the face, it's not oh, I mean, it might be a lot of things, but it's not that he
The end of the
hates me.
world.
It's not that it shows me that I'm a horrible human being. It doesn't show like, it doesn't say anything about me, and to the fact, it also doesn't say anything about the other person.
Yeah.
So that's Stoicism. It doesn't say
I
this
like that.
person did a violent act. It happened. So you're basically just trying to see everything as objectively as possible
Yeah.
and then draw your conclusions. So in this weird example that I've used a couple of times and people have made fun of it as well. Because why would someone put punch in the face? But in this example, how the stoicist would learn is I would go, oh, someone just punched me in the face. Why?
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't portray as much happiness.
Yeah.
And then I will walk around being even happier. And then people say, well, how does that like get you from not getting punched again? I said, it's not, but it helps me to better myself.
Yeah.
You know?
That's fair. Sort of using even something that could be perceived as a negative as a positive almost.
Exactly.
I like the principles of Stoicism. That's nice.
Thank you.
Genuinely, it's really cool. It seems, I don't know. I think it aligns with sort of what I, to a degree, but I've never put a label or anything on it or given it too much
Right.
like in-depth thought. But I think my general principle is things happen, we can move on. Like life will be all right next week. It's all good.
So since we just came to this topic, actually sometimes I do ask something similar as well
Yeah.
to the guests. So would you say that for you, is there any, because you just described to it how you kind of got it, but is there at all any system that you think that you would put yourself into? Like I just said with Stoicism, is there a philosophical thing that you say I can I can see that? Is there maybe a religious one? Like, is there any system at all, or like a someone told you 20 years ago, this is how you live the best life, and
Yeah.
then you live like this? Like, is there any
I
system?
I don't I think I like ideas of religions definitely. I like ideas of different systems. I think I really like the ideas of Judaism.
Right.
But that's also the one I've most recently learnt about. So I think they've got some cool principles. I like how it's very like family oriented, very community based. Like I went for a Friday night dinner over in Thailand. It was quite fun. Sort of
Nice.
it was just good to observe it a bit. What else? I think Muslims have a really nice culture as well. I see similarities between Muslims and
That's what I
Judaism.
just wanted to say,
Yeah,
because Judaism and Islam, I think it is very similar,
yeah,
especially like you said, with the community, with the
yeah,
family virtue and
yeah,
all that. Yeah, I also made that observation that it's actually quite
yeah,
close to each other.
yeah. No. What else? I think Buddhism's cool. I haven't really looked at Buddhism too much, but my mum's very much into Kundalini yoga and
Yeah.
she likes her Buddhism.
Nice.
So I guess I probably had some values instilled in me without me knowing. But yeah, I think those are the three that appeal to me the most.
Fair enough.
I think the thing about Buddhism that appeals to me is the fact that it's very sort of calm. I think it's similar to Stoicism almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's similarities yet
Yeah.
again.
No.
And I think Buddhism is it's also one that speaks to me a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like has has good ideas. And I mean, Tibet and Nepal are still on my list as well.
Tibet and Nepal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Do you ski, snowboard?
I do ski.
Yeah.
Do know how to. I don't do it too often.
Yeah.
But did do when I was younger. Did with school as well.
Yeah.
We lived right next to the mountains, so it was
That's brilliant.
actually part of the school curriculum as
Sort of
well.
part of growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. What else do you do growing up, Mike?
These are all great questions that I should ask you. But I'll just go. Just go with it. When I was growing up, I was basically was a little bit into music. I was rapping for a while.
Yeah.
Had like some friends that did some beats. And then I just wrote some lyrics on there.
Yeah.
We did that for a bit. I like to read. I always love
reading. Where did that come from?
I think my mom.
Your mum?
My mom,
Yeah.
she has like a huge bookshelf, like an actual book wall that
Yeah.
my dad basically
I've got the same.
yeah.
Yeah, I've got the exact same
Nice.
in our living room. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it was really good that was encouraged when I was younger, and probably for you as well. It's just
Definitely.
it's a good escape. I think I am a bit anti-phone. I think
Same.
it's because I have spent far too much time scrolling, far too much time just on my phone, and I think reading is just much nicer. It lets your mind just do its thing,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Whereas when you're on your phone, you're not really there. You're just zombied.
Yeah.
But there is definitely a place for a bit of brain rot, without a doubt.
No, there is a place, but it's definitely not the same thing happening in the brain. I'm not a brainologist. I know that's not what they're called, but
It's what I know now, Mike.
that is what they're called. But yeah, there's definitely a whole like a very different thing going on, because if you read, like, your brain's actually engaged,
Yeah,
and if you're scrolling, it's not engaged. It's definitely not.
it's the thing that's going to last you the longest as well.
Yeah.
Because, well, obviously it deteriorates, but your body's going to fail before your head does most of the time.
Deteriorate faster.
Yeah. So, no.
Oh, that just brings me to, just going to use this as a sleazy transition. Do you know anything about that? Your body deteriorating and what you could do against that? I feel like just chat about for a minute as well.
Yeah. So I used to be a personal trainer, and back in Brighton, I used to get some like older clients, or just not necessarily older, but middle-aged. And a lot of them came to me worried about deteriorating, basically. Like, I had a couple of people come to me and go, Alfie, I want to get off the toilet when I'm 80. Sweet is really, really important to especially work your legs. I mean, just throughout your life, because one of my worst nightmares is not being able to get off the toilet when I'm 80. And
that's true.
by building up muscle mass in your legs, it does correlate with longer life expectancy. Because it allows you to be more social. I think that would be my guess on it. So important things to do are doing squats, doing hinge movements, keeping your hips healthy, is what I probably recommend. Upper body, obviously, and just general strength is important. It helps prevent injury. It will increase bone density. Just overall, doing physical exercise throughout your life is something everyone, I think, should do to a degree. It doesn't have to be lifting weights.
Right.
It could be something you really enjoy doing. It could be swimming. It could be, I don't know, jiu-jitsu. It could be volleyball. I don't know, but something that will tire you out.
Yeah.
Will get you to use your body just consistently.
Yeah, I think that's the easiest thing that everyone could do. It's like, well, what do I enjoy doing if I go outside? What do I usually do? And then just do that for a bit. Hey.
No, it will also help your brain though, won't it?
Yeah,
It will improve blood flow. And when when your body feels good, I find my head feels better. Or when I'm fitter and healthier,
definitely.
my head definitely feels a lot better.
Um, that's actually a great topic because I always feel like, and I'm interested in your opinion on that. Because for me, it always feels like when I was younger, it was always kind of like assumed. It wasn't really talked about. That mental health is a big part of why people go to the gym.
Yeah,
Like it was always, but you never really actively talked about it. And I feel like now it's becoming more and more normal for people
yeah,
just to say, "Oh, you're feeling depressed? Just go to the gym."
yeah.
Becomes so normal.
No,
Um, so
100%.
uh, how how did you like see that? Why do you think it wasn't that present? Was it something because it probably was always like that. But that mental health thing, it's relatively new that I hear that like in combination with
I think mental health has been talked about more over the
no,
past 20 years because sort of 20 years ago, it wasn't as sort of, I guess, there wasn't as much emotional talk
yeah,
throughout,
like in general,
especially with men,
yeah,
definitely. And I think as it's gone on further, people are happy to talk about just what's happened to them, how they feel about certain things a lot more. And I think everyone now understands to a degree that everyone else feels that way. Everyone else feels things.
right,
Everyone's just,
yeah,
yeah. And I think the gym definitely is a really big help because you do release endorphins. It's been a big help for me, definitely. Um, it's a good way to sort of just zone out for a bit as well. You've gone and you've also allows you to accomplish something, which will make you feel good.
mm,
I think it doesn't have to be the gym again. It could be you go and you training session of American football for you, for example.
yeah,
But no, it's important because it can be social. You get to do things, you get to accomplish things. That's it. And it was a massive help for me. I started going to the gym when I was 14, and I had a bit of a hard time at school when I was 14. And once I started going to the gym, I just sort of got more confident,
right,
found something I really enjoyed as well, found I was able to push myself further. I think it's teaching people that.
yeah,
It's good to teach you that you're able to that other step and then the next. And then also is good education for building a habit. Because
definitely,
yeah, I think that's the biggest thing I've taken away from it is just building habits. No,
yeah. Because for me, like I said, it's like it was basically everything that you just mentioned. Because
yeah,
when I was in New Zealand, and I was still going to the gym every day, which I'm not doing here, but I won't be here that much longer anyway. So,
yeah,
um, maybe I'll go to the gym and talk.
yeah.
I should.
Do it.
I will. Well,
They give a lot of free passes over here. I think.
yeah,
Right. So I think you can hop between a few gyms
yeah.
5 days at a time. Actually, but no, you were saying?
Yeah, but the thing is, with me, I also saw it was just the perfect thing to incorporate into my day because what I did obviously your day needs to be able to fit that, but I was working then at the second hostel as a night porter.
Yeah.
So my work was from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m.
Mm.
So it wasn't a classical night shift either. So it was kind of perfect. So I had the whole day, and then in the evening I just work, and then at 1 a.m. I just go to bed.
Yeah.
It was actually a really good routine. And then yeah, I'll wake up, and the first thing I do in the morning is go to the gym, and it did all these things for me. It gave my day routine. It immediately, when I come back from the gym and cook my food, I feel so energized for the rest of the day. It gives me energy. It gives me the happiness. So yeah, I can just attest to everything you just said. It definitely helps your life in the different way that you might at first
Yeah.
think it will.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think everyone also originally starts to go for looks to a degree.
Yeah.
Because when I was a PT, a lot of people came to me and Alfie, I want a six pack in 2 weeks. I went,
Right.
okay. Jenny, I'm afraid it's going to take a little bit longer than 2 weeks, but we can get you there. But no, it was a lot of people. I had one client, especially Tyler. He broke up with his ex, and he came to me and went, Alfie, I just want to get a revenge body. All right, so we got him there, but it's now a really big part of his life, and we still chat. He uses it to sort of, as again, it's still slightly physical, but it's a solid part of his life, if that makes sense. And it's been, I think, it's a good crutch for a lot of people as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense because it is a good thing. So even if you have the shittiest reason to get into it, it's still a good thing.
Yeah.
So
No, exactly.
and I mean, I'm not saying it's a shitty reason at all. Like, obviously, I went to the gym because it's like, oh, that's it. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Not fit in the sense of healthy, but in the sense of looks.
Yeah.
So that obviously that's part of the
No, 100%. I think it's good to start a good thing with a bad reason.
It is.
It is. It applies to anything. What things have you started with a bad reason?
You sure this isn't your podcast? You're asking something. Second great question. Sorry, I'll steal them next. If you listen to the next episode, I might be using some of this question. So what did I? What was the question exactly? What did I?
Have you started anything with bad
intentions?
Yeah. Or not bad intentions, or just like not necessarily bad reason or something that's not
I feel like because when I was in America and I did play American football, that was the first semester, and then the second semester, or not semester, you had to do different sports, and then there was different sports, and soccer was one of them. And I was kind of like, because everyone was like, "You're German, you're going to join soccer." So I felt like I was kind of. I mean, I wanted to do a sport anyway, just to keep active.
I might have to correct you. It is football.
Of course, Alfie. Of course, it is football. Right.
No.
But I know that back then I just joined the football team rather than the basketball team, which I was quite interested in. Just because, I'm German.
Because of peer pressure, almost.
Because it was like, and I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm not saying I hated it, but I would have loved to try something else. And it was just like, you're doing football because you're German. So that was one thing.
No, I think I started. I guess I started. I think I originally started playing football. It wasn't necessarily a bad reason, but it was for social reasons because I don't necessarily enjoy the sport too much, but it's okay. And I think I started that for social reasons, or more doing it to hang out with my friends rather than I'm going to go play football to enjoy myself. I'm going to enjoy myself with my friends, but I wouldn't think all about myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think, but I think if everyone sits with that question for a bit, we'll find that more and more the reasons why we do things in general might not be, if we actually go back and observe it objectively, what we originally thought they were. Like the reasons are always, and then it just depends, I guess, on what is it that you're actually doing. Is this like, is it getting you towards a good thing, or towards a bad thing? And if it gets you towards a good thing at the end,
then fuck it and do the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, 100%. Right.
Exactly right. Maybe a little bit of a selfish question, because I always, every time someone has a little bit of fitness background, I just love to ask for myself, what, and obviously it always depends on like your goals and all this stuff. But in general, do you think there's tips to be given to about nutrition?
about nutrition.
Obviously, it depends
do you
on
want
what kind of.
directly for you, or do you want general tips to just throw out there?
Do we have time to do both?
We can do both. That's not an issue.
I mean, since I introduced it as a selfish question,
Yeah.
kind of
We'll do both. That's fine. Okay, so general, I'll do first, and then I'll ask you some questions, and we'll do Mike.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Okay, so generally, I think if someone's never or rarely done any exercise, I think it's important to make yourself go and do something. It doesn't have to be the gym. I'm going to emphasize that. It could be going for a run. It could be going for a swim. But if you want to do it to look a certain way, like we talked about,
Yeah.
different reasons, then I would suggest going to the gym, because no matter how much muscle mass you build, you're not going to turn into a bodybuilder, contrary to popular belief, and it will tone you up, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So going to the gym and being consistent with it, you don't have to go 5 times a week. You can go twice. You could even go once when you're starting, and just try and build the habit of being comfortable, because that's a big problem a lot of people face.
Right.
So get to the gym, go consistently, try and up how much you go consistently over time. Stick to doing the same sort of exercises and build a skill in those exercises. So you're not gonna like be incredible at every exercise from the get-go. People spend years trying to do a perfect rack. It's not going to happen in your first week.
Right.
So pick 5 that you really enjoy, put your heaviest ones first, and lift. And then what else? Nutrition, protein, important. Between 0.7 and 1.1 grams per pound. Some people like eating more protein, other people don't. Generally, that's a good ballpark to have. Calories, if you've never tracked calories, I would suggest you track them. It's a good educational boost more than anything else. It teaches you what goes in and out of your body. So it's like budgeting.
Yeah.
You're going to be broke forever if you don't know roughly where your money's going, at least.
Yeah.
Same for, you'll be fat forever if you don't know what you're putting in your body, what's calorie dense, what do you need to cut out, what can you have and still be healthy.
Yeah.
I think it's important to have a good relationship with food. So don't put so much stress on the number that you're eating that it's going to kill you. Like if you've gone over by 50 calories, just move on and do the same the next day. If it's you're going over 200 calories each day, we need to cut something down over time, but it's good to see the pattern instead of yeah. That being said, you do need to still stick to your diet if you're doing something, but I've sort of contradicted myself there.
That's right.
So you specifically, Mike, what are your goals?
So I would say my goals are to lose weight for sure.
Lose weight.
But also just keep working my muscles.
Keep strength, keep health and fitness, and keep building muscle. Basically.
So basically, the impossible one.
Yeah. Well, is it more to look muscular or to get stronger?
I'm gonna be completely honest.
Yeah.
It's about the looks.
Looks, go. It's not an issue. So you don't actually have to worry too much about the building muscle because you've already got a good amount of it.
Right.
What you need to think about is just the cutting the fat is all I'd say. Because with less fat, you look more muscular regardless, even though you may feel a little bit smaller. It's not what's perceived. Right. So do you know how to calculate a calorie deficit?
Yes.
Yes.
So you basically you need to figure out your calorie, like how much your body uses is usage, like your calorie usage, and then you make sure you eat less than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the question that I just asked myself is how again do I get that
How do you figure it out?
the usage of the calorie use.
Yeah, so there's a website I've always used. It's called caloriecalculator.net. It's
Right.
free advertising.
No. That's good.
If you want to pay them, no. So caloriecalculator.net, that will spit out a rough guide on what sort of to maintain weight is, to lose weight quickly is. It's very rough. This is something you'll play with, if that makes sense.
Right.
So what I always do is I'll take the maintain weight. If I want to lose weight quickly, like if I want to be fucking shredded yesterday, okay, you're doing a 1,000 calorie deficit for a short period of time. And that's when you do need to be really strict.
Right.
If you want to take the way I probably recommend to most people, and I think is the better way of doing it, is a slightly slower cut, which is 500 calories.
Right.
So you'll take 500 calories off, hypothetically. Let's say you need 3K to maintain. 2.5 is a slow half a pound a week sort of cut, 2 pounds a month. But if you combine that with upping going to the gym again,
right,
you'll increase your energy expenditure. And then the next week, you'll see how much you lose. If you've lost under, say, half a pound for that week, you'll go, okay, let's up the deficit a bit. So let's do a 700 calorie deficit. And then if you're at half a pound, then you know that's actually what your deficit should be.
True.
So it's measuring things, measure and track, which is, I assume you'd probably be quite good at, but a lot of people don't do it. And high protein, so 0.7 between 1.1 for a cut. If you want to maintain as much muscle, be on the higher end. If you're on a bulk, be on the lower end. Or if you just like eating protein, be on the higher end. It's never going to kill you if you eat too much.
And not quite, because I heard some people say it does matter, some people say it doesn't matter. Do you also calculate your fats, or you just look at the protein?
For most people, unless you're trying to be some next level athlete, don't worry about it. It's just like people like to over-track. Just protein and calories. I tend to ignore everything else. As long as you're getting your vitamins and minerals in, you'll probably be fine. Like if, for example, you're having like blood in your poo because of your diet, then potentially some things and check some things. But most of the time, just get your veg in, eat your protein, get your calories in. If you overeat, it's fine. Your budget's for the week, it's not for the day. So, yeah.
And what will you say? Because I also already have some recommendations. I think I have some of the apps on my phone as well. But yeah, just for the people that also maybe don't know it all, what do you then do? Like, let's say we established I do 3K. I need to eat 2.5 thousand calories. So how do I then go to make a meal plan?
How do you then go to make a meal plan?
What do you use? Do you maybe have an app, or how do you generally go into transferring that into food?
What I'll ask is, what foods do you like? What are your main what are the ones that we're happy eating?
Right.
What's Mike's like guilty pleasure?
Yeah, I mean, with me, the whole household can probably tell you what it is that Mike likes.
Yeah, but yolk cheese, little boiled eggs and ham.
All of the above. You ever asked?
No, so have your guilty pleasures, know what your guilty pleasures are. So, and then you can, and also pick a few main protein sources that you're happy to build meals around. So you have your guilty pleasures section, and then your meals. I find it works for people a lot better. Instead of giving them a set meal every day, I've always done some recipes over 2 weeks. So you've got, for example, here's 12 different recipes that you can cycle through for 2 weeks, or 20 different recipes you can cycle through for 2 weeks. People tend to like eating the same breakfasts or eating similar breakfasts.
Yeah.
in my experience at least. So you don't need, like, eggs are always a solid option. Just your high protein sources, your meats, your lean meats. If you're on a cut, for example, if you were to do it, you'd want to eat more lean meat than high fat meat, because less calories, and you'll still get full because you've got more protein. It's a really satiating macronutrient. Fats are also still really important, so don't just eat low fat everything. You need them in your diet. They're good for your joint health. They're good for your brain function. They are the most necessary one, but you just don't need loads of them, and you can cut them down.
Right.
What you can always plug into ChatGPT. I know you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
It's really useful. So if you know what calories you are, if you know what foods you like and you know
Right.
what meats you like,
Right.
you can go, I've got this budget per day, 1,500.
Yeah.
I like boiled eggs, ham, yochi, and name XYZ other thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's actually wow.
Create me 20 recipes within this budget that I can buy here, and you'll get something pretty decent, and it will give you the calories roughly correctly.
Yeah.
It'll give you the protein roughly correctly, and you can just
And then you go from there.
yeah,
Just make your experience. You just have to start somewhere. I guess.
exactly.
Yeah.
And some of the recipes it gives you are shit, so do check them.
Right.
Something I will,
Yeah. That's
but no, I think that's the easiest way to do it, is just work out your calories, work out your protein, then GPT some recipes that you can just cook up over the week.
nice. I guess for now, the last question. If you pique my interest again, which is totally your fault, I might ask you more questions. But for now, no, but I'm actually interested because it's something that I do for a while, and I just do it because it's how I feel like I just like to live, but I don't do it because of any scientific thing. So, um, what do you think about like now we've got the nutrition and the calories and all that, and then the timing of when you eat? Because for me, for example, for years now, I've never had breakfast.
Yeah.
So, for example, I used to go to the gym. I wake up, I go to the gym
Yeah.
like straight away after waking up, and then only eat after. So, how do you feel about
Timing of getting your protein in after going to the gym, or just breakfast?
rather than doing it before, doing it for breakfast, then going for the session?
My answer is going to be whatever works for you, because the struggle a lot of people have is sticking to it rather than actually doing the things. Is doing the things consistently,
Right.
and you're much more likely to do things you like doing. If you're
Yeah.
force feeding yourself every morning before you go to the gym,
Right.
you're going to fucking end up hating the gym because you've had to force feed yourself before you went. So eating after is probably good. Scientifically, I'd probably say fuel yourself before with, it could even be a banana, some form of fat. So a banana, peanut butter, protein shake on the way would
Right.
work like an hour before you go. And then afterwards, within an hour, try and get some form of protein in so you can have your breakfast. Doesn't actually matter loads, but scientifically, you will build more muscle that way. Yeah.
Fair. That's kind of what I heard a lot as well, though, is people just it needs to make sense for you.
Yeah.
Just because it's scientifically a bit better, if it doesn't,
it's like
doesn't work.
people over optimize in fitness. You don't need to over optimize 90% of the time. Just do the basics, do them well, and do them often, and you'll be fine.
That sounds like a good plan. I'm so sorry, I did think of another question.
Yes, I get just the fuck.
No, because you mentioned over optimizing. What would you, or what do you feel? How do you feel about supplements? Is there
There's a place for them. There's definitely a place for them. They can be useful. I think there are some really useful ones. It depends on what your diet looks like as well, because I think if you're a vegan, you need to supplement more with vitamin B12. Not B12, what was it? not. It's gone. Anyway, yeah, that one's really gone. Okay, but basically, depending on your diet, some people generally are quite low in magnesium, especially if you struggle with sleep. It can help. Omega-3 was something because people don't eat enough fish.
Right.
Creatine helps brain function as well as makes you stronger and gives you more energy. Well, it doesn't necessarily make you stronger. It just gives you more energy, which in turn lets you get stronger. But
Right.
and what else? Zinc, important. Other things can help. I think a lot of it is salesy. A lot of supplementation is salesy. A lot of it is shit. Also, most of the time you don't know what you're buying when you buy a supplement. There was a study done on Amazon supplements ages ago, and I think it came back that 40% of the supplements that were tested, what was listed on the packaging wasn't actually what was in supplement.
40%.
Something. It was a ridiculous number, but
Crazy.
I also don't know if it was a really good study or not. So yeah, it could just be something pulled out of nothing. But yeah, I think you can buy, if you're buying supplements, buy them from Australia, buy them from any sort of called any country like Norway, Sweden. They've got really good regulations around it. I think the UK's regulations are shit. You get a slap on the wrist for putting shit stuff in your supplements. You get a fine, but
So you
they'll shut you
actually,
down.
so you actually never, even in the UK, didn't get like the stuff from the UK. You already got it from overseas.
I would get stuff from the UK. There are some brands. It's more expensive to get it overseas, but the better quality stuff and the stuff that you know is actually going to be the thing,
right,
is better to get from overseas. You can buy the cheap stuff like creatine from any website under the sun. It is just creatine. You can't fake creatine. That's all it is.
Right.
I think you can get zinc. Anything that says oxide tends to be a waste product.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
try and avoid the supplements that say something oxide.
Because it's after burning. So
yeah. Yeah. But that's the two bits of supplement advice I'd have. Buy from those countries or look to see if it says oxide.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is really good information that I didn't know.
Good. I'm glad.
So, yeah. No, I'm actually very happy that we had the little fitness section. I hope that that's going to be useful not only to me, but also to the other people.
Yeah.
Cool little tips and tricks. And yeah, since we just realized, because we just looked at each other, it's already an hour.
Yeah. No, definitely.
So
it's been fun, Mike. I've really enjoyed this.
It has been fun. And yeah, I wanted to thank you as well, taking the time, sharing everything with us.
Yeah. No, no worries. Thank you, Mike.
Okay. Right. And with that, goodbye, everyone.